We're going to get started. People keep coming in. We're just thrilled to have Faith here. Who's helped so many individuals with what we're doing today, helping just improve nutrients, right? For ourselves and for others. So awesome. Well, Faith, if it's okay with you, what's like a one-liner about yourself so people can kind of learn a little about the world of faith?
I'm grateful, health conscious mom.
Nice. I like it. And then what is your why? Because certainly you've done a lot in this realm of health, of nutritious feeding, right? What is your why? Like where did this come from? What's that fueling this passion of yours?
I have thought about that a lot lately because I feel like most people are coming to eating healthier from a time of a health scare. And that's awesome, to have that why of like, ooh, I almost had this disease or I want to heal myself from this, but I have I have not had a health scare yet, and so it's kind of odd that I would care so much about what we eat, but I think my why is longevity
Hmm.
and a high quality of life through the end. I
Hmm.
don't want to I don't want to be stuck in a wheelchair or
Hmm.
in a nursing home. I want to be, vibrant until the very end, and I'm willing to pay the price for that.
What? There's no price. It's not difficult to feed children and families healthy, is it? Uh, was there like an experience that you had with like seeing someone and being close to them and then realizing like I do not want that or like what did that look like?
My family kind of went through this when I was a teenager. We were
Mm,
watching all of my grandparents decline in their health in their old age and get Alzheimer's and
mm,
diabetes and cancer.
mm,
Um, and old age, thankfully, but still, it kind of woke up my mom, I think, and
mm.
she started reading books by Joel Furman.
Yeah.
I just thought it was fascinating as a teenager. I thought it was really interesting. He's kind of a plant-based doctor. And so I quit eating meat at that time. And then later
Mm,
on, more about 7 or 8 years ago, I started to eat more whole food,
sure.
plant-based. So trying
Sure.
to really avoid like white flour and fried foods and eat a
Mm,
lot more greens and nuts and seeds and
mm.
beans and focusing on the nutrient-dense foods and less of the processed foods.
I'm just finding this fascinating. If I could ask just like a little another question. I know we're going to get into the how, but have you found benefit? Because like you're looking like 30, 50, 60 years, like 100 years down the road, right? Like, what benefit do you have any benefits now? What have
Yeah,
you noticed?
I feel like I really do. Since I've always kind of eaten fairly healthy, it's not like the stark contrast, but
Mhm.
probably the biggest difference is I used to have just like really inconsistent menstrual cycles and
Mm,
like I struggled to get pregnant for like 9 months for our first baby.
mhm,
And then ever since eating this way, I've had none of that. And I haven't had
mm.
painful cycles at all, and I've had like much more regularity. That's like the most prominent
Oh,
change
totally. Mhm.
that's really visible and it's more of a stark difference.
Totally. Oh,
I feel like my skin is better. My weight is like effortless.
mm,
I effortlessly maintain like my ideal weight. It
mhm,
just doesn't even take any thought. I just really enjoy my food. Like
mm,
my taste buds have adapted to like truly enjoy healthy food, which is such a gift, to not like force yourself to eat
mm.
food that you hate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
granted, I don't like love it as much as maybe some more indulgent things. There's a little
Sure.
bit of like self-discipline required to like make
Yeah.
yourself eat a salad instead of a peanut butter sandwich.
Mm.
But still I really do enjoy my food a lot.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. It sounds like it started with a huge long-term plan, but it's, helped you significantly even with menstrual regularity and then other symptoms, and now it's a little more effortless. So thank you so much. So fun to get to know you a little bit better on that realm. Um, all right. So I think it'd be awesome to start the, like presentation slides. Please, if anybody has questions, drop them in the chat. We're excited to get to those at the end. Um, and I'm just going to share the screen. Welcome to Beyond Broccoli Battles. We've all had them. We all know them. It's now a peace sign instead of a battalion flag. So, practical strategies for raising naturally healthy eaters. And I like what you said, Faith, that it's a little less, it's more seamless for you right now. It's easy. Your palate, your taste buds are more accustomed to these healthy things, and that can happen for children. So first, I am going to drop some questions. What is most difficult about feeding children healthy foods? So I'd love for you to type in your answers. Um, we'll give you a couple seconds. I'll sing some music for you. Just kidding. Interested to kind of hear what it is, what's most difficult for you with feeding healthy food, feeding your children. All right. And then the second question, what do you want to feed your children health? Like, why do you want to feed your children healthy food? So we've done some introductions. I'm Dr. Mike Henderson, concierge functional medicine doc. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And um, I'm also adjunct faculty at the Alice Walton School of Medicine, which is here in Northwest Arkansas, that's focused on whole health principles. So it's actually super fun, super fun. All right, there's the questions. So I'm gonna, Faith, if you can hold me to it, because I love the science, like 5 minutes. If you don't mind, just hold me to 5 minutes because um, I'm gonna share some of the science behind the benefits of healthy nutrition. I'm a physician. I've taken care of hundreds of kiddos. I've taken care of many hundreds of children in the hospital, also adults, elderly. I've seen a lot of health conditions throughout my practice. And I remember I'll be quick. See, you got to hold me to 5 minutes, Faith. I know I would go over otherwise. I remember being I can see it exactly right now. I was in a nurse's station with a surgeon, and we were preparing to do an amputation on someone's extremity. And the surgeon, I remember his name to this day, great guy. He's like, man, I wish this patient could have adjusted lifestyle sooner. I wish they could have, because I know this can be prevented. And that just always stuck with me. Like, I was like, what? Like, why don't I work relentlessly to help individuals prevent these long-term poor outcomes? And so I'm going to share a little bit about the science behind food, like literally what is on your plate that is beneficial to preventing diseases. So this is from the World Cancer Research Fund International. I got a link at the end, but this is a bubble chart that's interactive. You can hover over it and actually click on a specific disease and see that you can decrease it with specific lifestyle interventions. Let me give some quick examples, okay? So, probable decrease risk in cancer from a Mediterranean diet. Probable decrease in cancer, colorectal cancer, with foods containing dietary fiber. There's also non-starchy vegetables and fruit that can help prevent bladder cancer. There's prostate cancer. There's all these cancers that have beneficial outcomes with adding fruits and veggies. Then you go down and you actually get to convincing increased risk of cancers with certain foods, specifically the processed meat and red meat causing and being linked to colorectal cancer. Colon cancer is one of the top cancers diagnosed in the US, also along with breast, prostate, and lung cancer. And those, if I go back, actually have beneficial effects from food and lifestyle. Like you're talking the four top killer cancers in the US, and there are food components to help. So that's huge. Some other things is asthma. I'm going to be kind of quick. How many more minutes do I have, Faith? Two?
Yep, 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. So there is a gut-brain connection, and your gut actually talks to your brain through the vagus nerve. And they've done studies, some in animal and some in human, that show, depending on what type of bacteria you have in your colon, you send different signals. What does this mean? My adolescent my adolescent family member or child is moody. Could food have a role in that? The science suggests there is a role. Diabetes, heart disease, obesity, certain foods can improve your chance of not getting those, which is what we want. Lastly, asthma. this is really fascinating study. Um, Children fed a more fruits and vegetables, I'll get you the specific numbers if you're interested, had a 13 times decreased risk getting asthma by 5 years of age if their mom had asthma. Kidding me? That shows that actually can help. And this Dean Ornish shows this in one of his prostate studies that you actually start changing the DNA expression within your body as you eat certain foods. So I have strong conviction that there is significant improvement, not only in your risk of disease for your children, but also their mood, also their current symptoms, and so much more. So I've got the science. I've got a ton of references at the end of this, but you're here for faith and not for me to talk science because I could do that all day. So, um, Faith, it is all you.
Thank you so much for the up-to-date research, and that bubble chart was super fascinating. It's very refreshing to hear a doctor even talk about beneficial like habits and not just fixing it after the problem has started. So yeah, we're going to talk about some practical, actionable things you can do today at your next meal with your child to hopefully help them. But starting out, I just want to explain that I really understand the struggle. I have a 7, 5, and 2-year-old and a newborn, and feeding children consumes a huge portion of my day, and it can be very stressful. And I'm just in it with you. Sometimes my kids won't eat anything I put on the table, and it's really frustrating. I just want you to know that even really health conscious people who have fed their children like whole food plant-based from day one, literally, still struggle with it. So you are not alone. But as you do these actionable strategies consistently, it does get better. It is a long game, but it does get better. Last night, all of my kids ate lentil walnut tacos and enjoyed it. And it hasn't always been that way, but there are times when they do eat like a whole bowl of lentil soup, or they actually eat some salad or something. And it's just like, wow, like maybe it's actually paying off, you know? And they choose not to eat the junk food snacks that are passed out after a soccer game because they can switch it out for like a healthier snack at home sometimes. So there's like little times when you realize that it's paying off. So even if it doesn't go well today or tomorrow or next week or next month, like it's a year-long process, like a long process of helping your kids have a healthy relationship with healthy food. So just stick with it.
Thank you so much, Faith. Uh, this is awesome to hear you say that and keep
So
it
the
up.
first strategy is to remember this division of responsibility, which will really decrease your stress levels because you do not have to force your kids to eat healthy food, and doing so can kind of backfire. This is really hard to do sometimes. We want to kind of force our kids, and I won't say that I never incentivize my kids because that's so effective to say, you know, you can have more bread if you eat more soup. Like we do that. Or, you know, you can have whatever it is that they want if you eat more of this first. And you're not supposed to do that, but I do that sometimes and it really works. But in general, you should only worry about what, when, and where you eat. Like you decide um we are having fajitas for dinner tonight, and your child can decide if they eat at all or how much they eat, and you leave it at that. And if they don't want to eat, try to play it cool, ignore it, talk about other things. Just say, "We'll still sit at the table because I want to talk to you," and keep the conversation engaging. Make dinner time a time of connection and not battling.
That happens. I totally hear you with the battle where it's like, I think sometimes with parents, it's like job. Like you think like this is my duty to have them eat this food, right? Like to be a good parent. And I like what you're saying with the vision and responsibility. It's like, hey, I'm clearly outlining I am providing this and they still have choice. And it's almost like protecting their choice and almost like, hey, I'm letting you decide. So anyway, cool. Anything
Yeah.
else with division of responsibility? That is such a good reminder.
Well, if they choose not to eat, say you're
Hmm.
having dinner, they don't want to eat any of it, and you have to play that cool, what I do is just serve them like a bedtime snack or like a snack in a couple hours or just
Hmm.
a little later. That's still of my choosing. I still choose what and when and where to eat,
Yeah.
And I just choose something that I think they will probably eat that's still like a healthy choice. So that way they are getting some calories, you're not starving them, but you still remain in control, and they're not saying, "Oh, if I don't eat this, then I can eat whatever I want right after dinner." Like they can't
Right.
think that packaged snacks are an option or else they're never going to eat dinner. There can't be a more appealing alternative.
Faith, do you ever have any parents that come to you and say, look, like they're not really eating much dinner, and then like as you dive into things, you realize like they're having a pretty hefty after school snack, and like they're literally just not hungry. Like, is that something that you
I
experience?
try to not give my kids food like an hour before dinner. And
Sure.
if I do, like if they're starving and it's still like an hour before dinner, I'll just give them some fruits or vegetables. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I let my kids watch a show while I make dinner,
Yeah.
which is not ideal. Like they should be helping me and stuff, but sometimes
Right.
it's all I can do.
Right.
And while they're watching a show, I give them a bowl of baby carrots and snap peas or
Huh.
oranges or something, apples. And that's a great way to preload. Like you should eat
Mm,
non-starchy vegetables before the rest of your meal anyway. And then they're getting those micronutrients, and it doesn't really matter as much to me if they eat very much dinner because they just ate a ton of healthy snacks.
right. Right. Got it. So cool. So many things we could still talk about. I mean, we can go to strategy number dose two.
So I like to try to fit as much nutrition in little ways wherever I can and focus on adding and not taking away. Nobody likes to be told, you can't have that, you can't have that thing that has brought you so much happiness. But you
Right.
can fit in more nutrition in the things that you're already eating. So these are some of my ideas, and I'm sure if you have ideas, please respond in the chat of little things that you do. I'm sure all of you have things that you do to, pop a little nutrition in wherever you can. I like to put cauliflower in smoothies because it's colorless and a small amount is pretty flavorless as well. And spinach and greens in chocolate smoothies. I also always put hemp seeds in smoothies because they're so, so good for you and they don't have like that gluey texture that chia and flax seeds have. And mushroom powder has very little taste at all and it sneaks into chocolate smoothies really well, and
Hmm.
my kids never eat mushrooms except via mushroom powder and smoothies. And they're very anti-cancer, so that's one helpful way. We love to make little date balls with walnuts and flax seeds, which have lots of omega-3s, which are very anti-inflammatory. So if your kids have like skin issues, any kind of inflammatory issues, you want to eat as many walnuts and flax seeds as you can get them to. And with dates and cocoa, like put into a little ball. It's a yummy chocolate treat.
Hmm.
I'll make like an Alfredo sauce with cauliflower and cashews. And we put chickpeas in like literally most every treat because they have lots of protein and fiber, and beans are just amazing, and they go into desserts pretty seamlessly.
So you really can't taste it when you put chickpeas in cookies?
I mean, there's some sugar in there. Sugar helps the
Sure.
medicine go down. But like, yeah, peanut butter, sugar,
Yeah.
you can't taste it. If you haven't tried chickpea cookie dough or chickpea cookies, you've got to because they're so yummy.
Well, I always see you like posting it, right? But I haven't tried it. I tried your meatloaf. I made six meatloafs at once because
Wow.
I love meatloaf and I did your recipe. I think it turned out well. The bowl was monstrous. But anyway, um, so this just like the cauliflower, do you freeze it? Do you have frozen spinach and cauliflower, or do you put it in like
Yeah, I'll often have those in my freezer and just put them into the smoothie. But if you have fresh on
hmm.
hand, you can do that too.
And you don't have to like cook it first to make it soft? Sorry if I missed that, if you said that.
Nope, the blender breaks it down.
Wow.
It
Cool.
probably helps. I have a high-speed blender, so if you have like
Good.
a less powerful blender, you might want to blend it for a longer time so that you're not like
Sure.
chewing on any leaves or anything.
Good call. Little hack, what we do in my family is if we have like spinach that's almost going bad, we'll just put it in a Ziploc and throw it in the freezer. Um, and then you can use it in smoothies, but cool. Oh, can I say one thing?
Yeah,
Stealth nutrition. I really like what you were saying, how it's like we're not trying to be like secret, right? It's like, look, yeah, if you see me putting this cauliflower on, it's like, yeah, I want you guys to have these amazing micronutrients in this. It's not a secret. It's just like an awesome way to use it. And there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, cortisol, right? Cortisol is the stress hormone. As Faith mentioned, like that fear, oh, you're taking that away. We we live on food. If we don't have food, we die. And our body knows that, our DNA knows that. And so sometimes when there's a takeaway experience, there's a scarcity mentality inside our DNA that's saying we might not eat for a while. Save the food that you're going to ingest. Save it on your, on your abdomen, on your fat, like store it. So I love that mentality. I use that with my patients all the time. Let's find ways to add and not take away. So anyway, still
We're going to talk about that too in some more strategies.
cool.
Which is yeah, right here, like the second one, the 5 a day chart or the daily dozen chart. It's all about adding in and getting those most nutrient dense foods in every day. And kids love, well, adults too, we love a dopamine
Mm,
hit of checking something off a list. Like, bam, I did that. It feels so good. And so I have a link at the end for some printables that you can like print and do with your kids. And it's just so fun for them to be like, yeah, I did eat a whole grain. I did eat some beans, and check that off. Controlling your environment is one of the most, if
mm,
not the most, powerful way to eat healthy. I do not have more willpower than the average person, but my environment is set up in a way that I do not have to test my willpower. There is just simply there's no cookies calling my name. There's nothing tempting me all day in my house. It's very
mm,
boring. It's just ingredients.
mm,
If I want a treat, I'd have to make it, you know?
mm,
Um, and so I think that's the number one thing is just to control your environment so that less healthy foods are not in sight or they're not in your house at all. Like if you have a family member like your husband or um, someone in your home who has the right to have whatever they want and you don't like that being exposed to your kids, ask them to at least hide it. Keep it in the garage or in a high
mm,
shelf in the pantry and keep it out of sight. But ideally, you don't even have it in your house at all, and you have to leave the house to like go get the treats or whatever it is that's tempting you. Um, some other ideas are to use the Zoe or the Yuka app because kids love to use phones. And those are two apps where you scan barcodes of things and it tells you how healthy something is. And my kids love doing this. They love to go in the pantry and just like scan any barcodes, or you can take a picture of like sweet potatoes in the pantry or something, and it will tell you how healthy that thing is. Or you can take a picture of your meal and it will tell you a rate of 0 to 100 how healthy it is. So they're like, take a picture of my plate, Mom, and they want to see how healthy it is. And if it's only like 50, they're like, man, how can I get my number up? Like gotta add a fruit or like add some leafy greens or something. And so it's kind of fun to use technology. Another one is broccoli club. I got this idea from my grandma. Um, we would do this with baby carrots, but at the table whenever we're having broccoli, I just say like, who wants to be in the broccoli club? And if you want to be in the club, you have to eat broccoli all at the same time. And everybody wants to be in the club, and so everyone takes a bite of broccoli right then, and it's just great exposure.
Builds family unity right there.
Yeah, it's like camaraderie. Everyone's in the club, feels so in. But yeah, those are like the main hacks that I use, and I think I already kind of mentioned the rest of them. So
I have a question. How long did it take you to get the environment that way? I mean, like, did you just decide and like stayed that way? Like, your husband's cool with that? Like, how did that happen? Because I don't know, I'm just
long
curious.
process. I think it's
Really?
kind of one thing at a time where you're like, you know what, we should stop buying tortilla chips and like
Mm,
maybe only buy them when we have parties,
hmm.
or like we're gonna stop buying crackers and we're gonna do like homemade pita bread with hummus instead or
Right.
something. It's just kind of like one thing at a time. And so some people do really well cold turkey of just like taking everything out of their house and giving it to a neighbor, and that works too.
Yeah.
I kind of just find that I stop buying things one at a time and start
And
replacing it with something else.
so, yeah, replacing it where it's almost like, hey, let me look for some stuff using the Yuka or Zoe app and look at the barcodes and see if you can get in the same food section of the grocery aisle a healthier alternative. Sometimes I do that with my patients. We have webinars or I do some social media stuff, and we go through like these different sections of the grocery store and kind of learn how to look at food ingredients, how to study that to say good, better, best. But anyway, so
Awesome.
cool.
Oh, so cool. You go to the grocery store with your parent patients. That's amazing.
Well, virtually, but
Oh, yeah.
maybe
Cool.
one day I should go Walmart here with my patients. Drop it in
Yeah,
the chat if you want me to do that. Anything else with strategy three?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing those. Those are super fun. And those apps, I've used Yuka. Faith told me about Zoe. I love Zoe. Like their company's so cool. But my kids have really enjoyed doing that too. So, all right,
And they're both free. They're free apps. So.
great plug.
Another strategy is to just get your kids really involved and participating. Just a couple nights ago, I had my 7-year-old make lasagna soup in the Instant Pot, and she doesn't usually like that meal, but I had her do it like practically all by herself. I was standing there, but it's kind of like a dump and go recipe, so you can just dump this ingredients in, turn the Instant Pot on for 5 minutes, and it's done. And she felt so much ownership about that meal that she like wanted to eat it more. And there's lentils and pasta and tomatoes and um so she mostly just ate the noodles, but she was more enthusiastic about it because she did the work. And I think that helps a lot. So it takes a lot of patience to cook with your kids, but just kind of start slow. Let them like cut the tofu or the mushrooms or like, the soft things. Let them choose like at a mealtime, say, what fruit or vegetable do you want to have with the tacos or something? And like they choose. So the more you can put in their realm of decision making, then the happier they are. So like creating customizable meals, like a build your own taco night, build your own Buddha bowl. They choose like I want rice and tofu and sweet potatoes, and I don't want the cucumbers and the broccoli. Like they can choose, but they're all healthy options, so it doesn't really matter what they pick. And then something
Guys,
else that could be fun is creating a Pinterest board where you just go through on the computer with your kids and be like, what looks good to you? You can search up like, nutrient dense meals or whatever type of diet you want to follow and just like pin ideas to a board and then make a list of recipes you want to try and they'll be more on board because they helped pick it out.
you more on board because the Pinterest board. I had a question. Um, do you like usually say, all right, hey, Tuesday, I'm gonna have my daughter help with this one meal, and it's Sunday night, and you kind of like prep her a little bit? Like, how does that work? I haven't, I mean, my daughter loves to bake, but like, I don't really have like a, hey, child, you know, this is the day that we're gonna cook today. Like, how does that usually like happen?
That's an awesome way to do it. I'm not that organized. I just kind of am like, hey, they could help with this tonight. Hey, get over
Okay.
here.
Sure, right?
Um,
Yeah. All right. Not doing anything and they just ask. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Thank you. Anything else with strategy four?
I have a cookbook. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I wrote this cookbook, Plant-Based Cooking for Kids. And in here I have a whole list of things that kids can actually do. Because sometimes you're like, what can my kid actually do, especially if they're really young? And like they can't chop, they can't, chop an onion or whatever. But I have a list of like age appropriate tasks that they could do. Like even toddlers can peel an onion or garlic, or they can like dump spices in. And I just kind of have a list of tasks to help you cook with your kids.
Nice. Nice. What a cool bonding moment too, where like you're cooking with your kid and you're like, oh, you poured that so well, and like give a hug. Like that's really special, right? Like being able to nurture the relationship while nurturing their body. Like that's really cool. Anyway,
Yeah, kids love quality time.
right.
So just like a few reminders is that this is a long process. Don't get discouraged if your kids still don't want to eat anything you make. And it can take 12 to 17 exposures to learn to like a new food, adults included. Like it is hard. I personally have never loved mushrooms, but I've kind of forced myself to eat them, and now I don't mind them, and I'm putting them in a lot of things. Same with sauerkraut. I did test sauerkraut, but I've learned that I can like it on avocado toast, and so
Hmm.
I only eat it that way. But like it just you have to coach yourself, and it's okay to kind of coach yourself and make yourself do something hard. And same with your kids. Just kind of be patient with them as they learn to like it and their taste buds adjust.
Hmm.
Um, Meal prepping or like snack prepping can be so powerful.
Hmm.
I try to have like little bags of dried nuts and fruit always handy. so that in the car we have something to eat if we're caught hungry. We don't have to stop and, find some healthy option, which are really hard to find.
Amen.
So having like healthy snacks on hand, making like little energy balls or muffins to keep in the freezer for, times you don't have time to cook. Um, or even just preparing components like cooking some beans or some rice that you can throw together during the week.
Mm.
Um, and try to think about what your why is, because in those hard moments when you want to order pizza but you decide to throw together a stir fry instead, like you need a strong why in that moment of like, why am I not going to order a $5 pizza? Everyone would love it. It's not very expensive. You have to just remember, like, if I eat the way that everyone else eats, I will have the diseases that everyone else gets,
Mm.
and I don't want that. I want a little better.
Mm.
And teaching your kids a way of more self-discipline, of higher expectations for their habits. Um, so think about what your personal why is, and don't forget that.
That's helpful. And it sounds like that, you model that as a parent. Like you have a deep why and helping them kind of, you know, yeah, just develop the same. So cool. And that's so cool, right? The 12 to 17 exposures. It just be patient. It's an experiment. So cool. All right.
So I have some links for you to let me grab them to
Okay.
get some resources that you can print off and use today
And
because we all need a little help.
faith stuff, just while you're dropping that in the chat, let me know if you have any questions. But like Faith's resources are so helpful and like practical, right? Because she's like doing this. And it's like, oh, this is an easier way to do it, or this is something helpful for my child. So um yeah, highly recommend these. She has incredible content in practical ways, but um let's see. Awesome.
We
So you
have
got
some
that?
questions we could answer too in the chat. So,
Yeah, sure. Should we start going through questions?
sure.
Okay. We had some comments about the veggie puree and tomato sauce, amazing. And then tried the chickpea nice cream recipe. Nice. Way to do some stealth nutrition. Um, the Kroger app, Smiths and Fries, has something called Opt Up Nutrition that will often show a healthy alternative. So cool. Thank you
Oh,
for sharing that. I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. And then question. I have let my 4-year-old choose what they eat and when they eat for the past 2 years. Feeling guilty. But I do this because I'm struggling to read. But I do this because everything we have in the house is so healthy. So he chooses grains, legumes, and tons of fruit all the time. The problem is food exposure is extremely hard as we won't eat what we eat at dinner ever. As
hmm.
he won't eat what we eat at dinner ever. Food exposure. Faith, do you have any comments or thoughts on this?
Um, there's a feeding therapist who came up with that division of responsibility named Ellen Satter. I'll put her name in here. She has several books and she talks about, I think that's it. She talks about this and kind of what to do to gravitate so that you are more in control as the parent and children aren't kind of running the show. So I would read some of her books maybe, but I mean, if every option is healthy and you're okay with it, if it's working for you, I don't know that you have to fix what isn't broken.
Mm,
But if you do want him to eat what you're eating at dinner time and like I'll eat the same food and he won't ever eat it, I think there are things you can do. I don't personally know what I would do at this exact moment, but I'm friends with Ashley. We can talk about it.
nice. One thought that I had, if you don't mind me interjecting, is like they talk about this, Michael Greger talks about this, but like red light, yellow light, and red light and green light foods. Like red light food is food that maybe it doesn't promote optimal health, but adding a little part of a red light food, and Faith, tell me if I'm way off on this. This is just something that we've done is like as you transition, it's like, hey, we'll add some of this to this. Like I think of salads, right, at like a, Simply Green or some other restaurant, and you add a certain dressing that's not optimal, but they're having all this green light food, this amazing whole health food. It's like I don't know. I mean, you can be the judge, but for me, it's like awesome. This is awesome. I love
Yeah,
it. So
totally.
that's one way I think about that. Um, but the other thing is I feel like guilt, like I try not to give my children guilt trips, like, oh, you're gonna have this disease and this disease when we get older. It's like, hey, they just don't feel like it. That happens to us too, and kind of giving more grace than criticism. But I don't know. That's just
I
kind
agree.
of
Those
tough.
are awesome tips. And this is a really awesome idea from Carrie right here to separate out ingredients. I'm sure you do this, Ashley, but like often we will combine ingredients. Like enchiladas, my kids would never eat because it's a ton of ingredients mixed together. But if I separated and gave them like a little corn tortilla and a little beans and like all the ingredients separate, they would eat that. So,
Yep.
um,
We're in the same boat for the same bowl at our home with separating ingredients. Yeah, great call.
this is a very relatable comment from Erica that if you don't order pizza, you're like, the Grinch, but if you order it, you're the hero.
No, I know.
And can you blame them? Like our taste buds are wired to want high calorie, high fat,
High
salty
salt.
food. Like we're all like that. And they're not, bad kids for wanting pizza. And it is really hard to feel like you're not a fun parent for making a healthy meal. But I don't know, you can try to make it fun in other ways. Like we're gonna take our dinner outside to eat or um I don't know, just come up with things that you know your kids would appreciate to make it a little more fun.
Or even like family game night and whoever eats, you want to be careful with forcing a large quantity, but like things to look forward to after, I don't know. There,
I know, I mean, I do that. Like, you're not supposed to bribe your kids, but
I
I
know.
do it because it helps them eat something and get exposure to it, and then they actually choose to eat it later on. So
I so what about the one bite theory? We're wrapping up. This has been so helpful, so helpful. But like, do you ever say, hey, at least one bite to get the taste buds, or how do you navigate that?
I
And
think you have to follow your intuition. You know
sure,
each kid best. Like some kids will retaliate with that kind of pressure.
sure,
Pressure can create more avoidance. Other
right.
kids are like, they just need a little push and a
Okay.
little self-discipline. Like, come on, exercise a little discipline. Make yourself do something. Like, you can take one bite. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to kind of do a case by case scenario with that.
Good point. Use that mommy daddy intuition. It's helpful to remind you.
Yeah.
Last comment, Karen, I don't always take the time, but making the food pretty is helpful. Agreed. Oh, hey, little hack. We found charcuterie boards, if that's how you pronounce them, are super helpful. Like, it's really weird. Like you put all this like food out there and just have it maybe with a couple like sauces or dressings, and they just randomly grab it and start eating it. That's what we found in our home. So like we kind of sometimes just put out like this charcuterie board of veggies and fruits and some, whole grain crackers, stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, they just go for it. So anyway,
True. We'll do that for meals a lot. There are
um,
a couple questions in the
great.
Q&A.
Thank you. Let me pull that up real quick. All right, let's get this. All right. So Karen, I've never successfully made the lasagna soup in the Instapot. I always get the burn warning. Stove works great, but isn't a set and forget how to avoid.
That's tricky. I would add the noodles very last so they're kind of sitting on top. Maybe it's the lentils that are burning on the bottom, but just give it like a good stir and make sure you have all of the liquid added. Um, but yeah, I've never had the burn warning. I know that's really frustrating. I'm so sorry. And then strategies for making good choices at the end of the day when you're tired or traveling and vacationing with non-healthy eaters, lots of temptation, limited control. Yes, that is really hard. I would pack my own food on trips a lot, like pack as many things as you can so at least you have those things to fill up on. Um, and when you're with, I think you're talking about like your kids, if they're surrounded by lots of temptation, there's a lot of different approaches. Like you could just say, you know, That's your choice. At home, I'm in control. When we're out of the house, you choose. And, I've taught you correct principles. I hope you will govern yourself well,
Right.
kind of give them the freedom. It depends on their age. That's probably what I will do is let my kids make their own choices once they're like a little older. Um,
I have a teenager right now, and he's like all about burgers and animal protein. And this is something we've worked on, like, or not worked on, but just been thinking through for so long. Um, but it's almost like, look, he's out of the house in 7 years, 6 years. It's like he'll make his own decisions. And it's just like the division of responsibility, right? And what can I do? And eh, I try not to guilt trip. That's like the biggest thing is like, hey, your choice, bud. And like focus on the camaraderie and good discussion and something fun after and confidence. Confidence in children goes a long way. But
I love that. It's such a relatable situation. And one thing to remember is like it's not bad to educate your kids too. Like some people think it's shaming to teach them about, like there's a link between I don't know, saturated fat and diabetes or something. Like it's okay to educate them. Joel Furman does that with his kids from the time they were little. He taught them why he wanted them to eat a certain way.
hmm,
Not like make them confused or think it's just like a power struggle or something, but just tell them why you want them to eat a certain way. Don't make it like some secret.
that's really powerful. If anybody wants little like drop in the chat or the Q&A or wherever, if you're interested in maybe some like nuggets, pun intended, of information to kind of help educate your children, I'd be totally happy to put that together because those are like some talking points in like super simple terms of I could, kind of organize it by studies and make it really simple where it's like, yeah, someone showed that there's this increased prevalence of this disease with if you guys would find it helpful, education. So, all right.
That would be amazing.
All right. I'm getting a yes to the nuggets. I'd be super happy to do that. And we'll get it to you guys that were here. Um,
I would say to do those talking points not at dinner time or not at a meal time, but like a separate time,
Ooh,
like a family night, like a lesson, not when there's choices right in front of you.
great idea. And then it's like takes a little bit of pressure and then you have confidence in the children in their food choices after. Okay. I could go into the science behind that with the decision matrix and all that too. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
You got it, y'all. Well, awesome. We're wrapping up. I just want to say thanks for being here. Faith, like huge round of applause. Like, thank you for what you're doing, for all of us and for your family and for your health. And, keep it up. You are blessing a ton of people's lives. Um, and I'll just real quick disclaimer, this isn't medical advice. This isn't a patient-physician relationship. That is just a disclaimer I got to put in here. And then here's some of the references that I had to some of the science stuff. And Faith, is there any parting words or last strategies you want to share? Anything else?
I don't think so. I just am so thankful to have the opportunity to do this because I am passionate about it. Here's two links again. If you want like continuous inspiration, I provide free value because I love to do it. And so if you sign up for my email list, then you'll get like healthy recipes and stuff like this. And then I have those printable worksheets on my website that can help you. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Carrie. So sweet.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Have a blessed rest of your day. Keep on enjoying life and helping your children with nutritious food.